Hello and welcome back to Speed Demon Painting. Warcradle Studios just released their blog post for the July releases coming to Dystopian Wars. There is very much a theme for the releases coming this month, and those are named flagships that are being released for both the Crown and, in this case, the Commonwealth, which is sort of weird because it looks like it is an enlightened ship, but I will explain that in a minute. The first box is called The Legends of the Crown, and in it there are two named variants of ships, like I said. The first one being the Nautilus, which is the submarine you can see in the top left here. This is a named variant of the Morgana and can actually be taken as mercenaries, so there is an incentive for anyone pretty much to pick up this box if they want this model. The other one is a named variant of the Gloriana box. Well, I should say the Camelot class, which is an alternate build found in that Gloriana box. But this one is a Canadian one, as you can see by the design, which is the generator ship, or their generator ship. Apart from the obviously different prow, because they do come with a blade of armor in that front prow, they also have that same bridge modelled on here that you can find on the Canadian ships with that McGill radar at the top here. And this one comes not just with 3 heavy gun batteries like the Orbat is currently showing, but with 4 of them. So this seems like a juicy combination of some heavy firepower along with good protection for the rest of your fleet. And then as a cute little extra you also get 5 of these Crown escort ships. If I'm not mistaken, these were found on the Indian Raj sprues that were released a while ago. But yeah, you now have a more readily access to them if you decide to get this Legends of the Crown box. The first one is the Nautilus, like I said, and the Nautilus is actually getting a bit of a tweak. In case you don't know, there is a public beta going on of the new Crown Orbat, and there's quite a few changes to them. This one looks quite a bit beefier than the old Morgana class, which is the model you had to use before, and it's actually no longer called a Morgana class. Lore-wise, this is actually a prototype ship of that submarine type that the Crown later developed, but it is very much an entry of its own, and you can tell by the new stats because it has been given a significant update in the amount of hull points it has. It is now Armor 6, Citadel 15, so a lot more difficult to damage as well. And yeah, there's been a few tweaks in general that makes this ship really stand out as its own thing. And as you can see, this resin ship does have a lot of extra ornaments on there on the back as well. It has the double heavy torpedo salvo, well, one aimed towards the aft and one aimed towards the front. It also has a different prow as well. I'm not sure if it's going to mean that it's extra good at ramming, because it still has the Vengeance keel saw that you see on the Morgana class. But it does come with a rule that you're getting extra victory points for ramming opponents in the Beta Orbat, so I suppose that's what it's supposed to be. A ramming ship primarily, and a torpedo ship secondarily. And finally, to spice things up a bit, if you now take the Nautilus mercenary battle fleet, you're getting both a command override and valorous conduct, so it's really worthwhile to use it as a mercenary option as well, if you're on the fence on getting this box. And then the second big ship is of course this High Guardian class HMCS Tilloch Galt, the big Canadian flagship. Like I discussed, it's complete redesign, really quite different from the Gloriana, which is a good thing because it's a full resin option. Now I think this still needs a bit of tweaking in the Orbat, even the better one, because it seems to come with 4 heavy gun batteries, and those are being reworked as well, so expect a bit of extra info on that one soon. But yeah, it seems like a full resin option for it. The one thing that I can tell you from the Beta Orbat is that the Canadians are getting a new rule called the Snowbird Bar Cap, which is a rule that allows them to summon, if they want during the Special Operations phase, 2 SRS tokens that will just stick with the ship and start protecting it as well. So it can help with intercepts and everything. They cannot make attack runs, so it's a purely defensive measure using those snowbirds flying overhead. But you can also prevent enemy submarauders from deploying within 10 inch of this ship. And let's be honest, one of the most hard counters you can get to big flagships are submarauder units, so this one is all about defensive play, and that's why I think this can actually be quite an interesting addition to any Crown force really, especially if you happened to buy the Sturginium Skies battle fleet set as your starter. I also plan to do more updated videos on the how to get started with the different factions videos So if you're looking forward to seeing those, make sure that you follow the channel as well. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up as well. That really helps with the YouTube algorithm. After all, a lot has changed since well, in the last year, and this legendary box really does gel very well with those who got started with, well, one of the most popular ways to start with the game, the two-player starter set for the Canadians. And speaking of two-player starter sets, we have a familiar face coming up again. The very first two-player starter set that was released for Dystopian Wars was the Hunt for the Prometheus, of course, which was a storyline where Markov, which is a sort of a double agent for both the Enlightened and the Russians, sort of stole this flagship from the Enlightened and unleashed all of this different tech out in the wild, and basically kick-started the dystopian age. And one particular entry in the Russian Orbit that was never given a full model of its own up until now was Markovs Prometheus, which is a different type of generator ship than the one you find in the Enlightened. There have been tweaks made to it, obviously, but you now actually have a model to represent this, which is really, really cool. I think they did a lovely design with this as well, with all the different wings on the back of it, along with clearly that cryo generator build at the top, and then that lovely prow showing the Commonwealth symbol. It's all very, very cool, and if I'm honest, it's probably one of those highly collectible pieces as well, so I'm happy that this one is alone in its box, because, well, even if you do not play with the Commonwealth, this would be a very fun little painting project, being, you know, the thing that started it all in the dystopian age. And I actually really do like the fact that they included this little tidbit of Russian Commonwealth Ministry of Propaganda telling the world that Markov is definitely not a traitor. He is actually somebody who liberated all of this different cool tech from the short-sightedness of those who call themselves the custodians within the Enlightened. If you don't know, there are two main factions, sort of splits in ideology, if you will, within the Enlightened. Those who think that they are the custodians and need to keep all of this cool new tech that they found from alien technology to themselves. Sort of, they think that humanity is not ready for it yet, and so they want to hide it for thing and just keep it to themselves. And then there are the other ones, the egalitarian ones. Clearly Markov is one of them, who believe that, no, who are we to keep everything under wraps, just spread it out there. And there's a lot of these egalitarian ones hiding out in the Wild West as well, which is why there is that third game in the dystopian age called Wild West Exodus, where you can find more lore about that as well. And of course, you will have noticed that all of the things that are being released now, and basically the new things from last month as well, are largely resin ships. So the release of Armor Clash is imminent. I guess you can call it that, because I do think all of the plastic making options that they have at Warcradle Studios now is pretty much going towards Armored Clash. There was a cool news as well for those people who have not been keeping up with the Discord channel. Stewart basically said that they've doubled their machinery. They've bought another one to mill molds. They've made another plastic, or bought another plastic injection machine. And on top of that, there was an expansion of their rules development team as well, which could be found a few days ago, which is all good news and showing that the dystopian age really is alive and well and just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And yes, of course, everyone who plays the game is to thank for that, so I'm pretty sure the studio is incredibly grateful for just how fast things are going for them. And with that last bit of uplifting news, this is me signing off, and I do hope to see you again in the next video. Until then, bye!